One thing I'm interested to get your thoughts on as well, we talk about putting out, and you were saying sticky marketing, and you talked a lot about, it's almost like having the users follow the articles when they do find them. A lot of people view blog networks and things like that more as just a way to, it's all about the SEO and getting out the links out there so you can hopefully get the rankings and then drive the traffic that way. Interesting to know your thoughts on the way that, you know, you approach, even when you're using blog networks. You only putting out your best quality content, or do you see it more as just purely SEO?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Mm.
I mean, I like to think of it as both. You know, certainly I don't think any marketer is doing themselves or their business any favor by just hammering content out there that's unreadable.
Mm.
Trying to find the right words for this one, Dave. It's
a touchy subject because
it is, yeah. I mean, we have a blog network. We have a very large blog network. I guess here's the answer I have for you. With our network, we have plugins and such that inject content directly into these sites, and the reason we have this is because the people that come to us, this isn't our network. This is other people. This is all independent sites that have come to us and want to accept our content. And the reason why they allow us to submit and post to their sites, post other people's content to their site, unmitigated, without any controls for the most part, is because they trust that the content that we're going to send to them is decent. And that's why we have, I don't even know how many reviewers we have now. In the teens anyway. I mean, we've got over a dozen article reviewers that reads every article that comes in, not to the extent that eZine does. I mean, what we're looking for is obvious errors, and we've got error trapping and stuff like that. Basically what we're trying to do for our customers is make sure that they can send out the best content they can. So if there's they've missed a major spelling error, that, there's certain errors that make you look kind of silly, we'll tell the customer about that. If they've done their tags wrong and their backlinks don't work, we'll tell them about that. I mean, that's because we don't want their content going out and not being the best that it can be, even though it's going to a blog network. So we think the quality is still good in the blog network. You'll never go wrong with quality. It's the old axiom. You can't go wrong with good quality stuff, and so keeping your quality levels up on everything you do will also help your backlinks remain sticky. Because I think with the search engines, when they come around and they're not stupid. If they see that people are coming to that particular article or that video or that piece of content and they're staying for 3.5 seconds, they're not going to give much credibility to that site or that page or that link.
Yeah, agreed. It sounds like, obviously, having worked with a lot of clients, you would have seen a lot of people making some mistakes. Putting out those junk articles that are just Frankenstein is no doubt a biggie. What are some of the other mistakes that you're seeing people make when they're first coming online and even using your service as well?
On that one, Dave, I would have to say the biggest mistake doesn't have anything to do with SEO, actually.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest mistake I see is marketers that don't treat their online business with as much respect as they should. What I mean by that is because the barrier to entry is so low in regards to startup of an online business, it doesn't cost a whole bunch of money. Many folks don't treat it as seriously as they should, or as seriously as they would an offline business that costs tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to start up.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the marketers need to treat what they do online with the same level of respect as their offline ventures, where they've mortgaged their house to get started. It's that important. Because, as we've seen time and time again, online ventures have the capacity to expand more quickly and with more velocity than we've ever seen in the past. And certainly much quicker than the majority of bricks and mortar companies.
What sort of things occur as a result of not approaching it like a business? Are we talking, obviously consistency is a big part of it. What sort of things do you think go wrong as a result of not treating it like a business?
Well, the biggest pain that I've seen, unfortunately, in my business, and you've probably seen this with some folks as well, is that they never planned to be a big business. They've always planned that this is going to be something small that I'm going to do for my house, and they've never made plans to run it as a real business. And like I said, as we've seen, some of these ideas have just skyrocketed. And they're not ready, or they're not prepared for that when it happens. And there's nothing more painful than not being ready for that massive growth and leaving all the money on the table.
And the type of planning that you're talking about, are we talking everything from having systems in place to having the right team members to having, like, what sort of things when you say they haven't planned?
Well, they haven't planned for, I guess I'll just cut to the chase on this. This is always hard to say, but it's the truth. They haven't planned to invest in their business. Like I said, because the barrier to entry is so low, and yes, you can start an online business with $100. It's not your best option to create that business that frees up your time. You need to look at it like an offline business, but online. You need to have a marketing budget. You need to have a marketing campaign that you're going to do. That you're going to actually create content, and you're going to market that in all the mediums that you can. There's that time versus the time versus money argument all the time. You can either invest a lot of time to save money, or you can invest money to save time, but you can't have both of them expect to grow.
Yeah.
So the goal is to eventually build a business that runs itself. But at the beginning, unfortunately, we're the ones that need to be doing the running. So I would just tell people to make a plan. Make their marketing plan, stick to the plan. If you've done your keyword research and you know that there's a market there, stick with what you're doing. You made a educated decision. In saying that though, a lot of people run by their gut. They've created a business based on a gut feeling. They've never done, they've got a website, they're doing article marketing, they're doing all kinds of stuff. And unfortunately, I've seen this over the years. People will come to me and say, I'm not getting any traffic. And I'll go look at their site and I'll go, there isn't any. Nobody's looking for what you're selling. Where did you get the keywords from? Oh, well, I just thought. When there's great tools out there like Market Samurai, like Google's keyword tools that give you all the empirical data. Make an informed business decision. Don't do this emotionally. Make sure that you know going forward that this is a true business that you're getting into.
So when you talk about making a plan, we're talking about, like you said, you sit down every 3 months and go, here are the next few sites that we're going to be launching, and your plan is, I'm going to do the appropriate research, choose the right keyword, register the domain name, have it receiving content. Within 3 months, I'll come back, review it. I'll start posting my articles, getting videos made, and being really specific down to the point of saying each month I'm going to be publishing at least 5 articles through my blog networks, and I will be placing at least 10 bookmarks and using social, making X number of posts for social media. Is that what you mean by a plan?
Kind of. Because we're talking about SEO, I understand, we keep coming back to that. But I also mean on the larger scale too, Dave.
Yeah.
If you think about this, like when we're planning for the first quarter of this year, we're looking at what we need to do. And part of the plan is we need to find another programmer. We need to find another certified programmer to hire to our team, because the plans that we have going forward for this quarter involve more programming than our current team can handle. So, that's part of the planning. You need to find that. We also need to find more reviewers with with the flow coming in. So as far as the business plan goes, I'm talking a much higher level, not just the marketing. Yes, you need to make plans about how much content you're going to create and do all of that. But from a business perspective as well, you need to plan how much time, if you're still working a full-time job, you need to plan how much time you're going to put into that business. And I think I'm pretty sure it was Ed Dale that said it, if we could just sit down and actually put in 30 minutes a day, uninterrupted, without the emails and without the phone going off or something else. If we could just put in 30 minutes a day, what we could accomplish in the course of a year is phenomenal. And so that's what I mean. You need to plan everything you're doing with your business. You need to plan a budget. You need to plan if you need help. Even a startup business needs help. If you don't know how to program, or you don't know how to even put your WordPress blog on the site, you need help. So that all needs to be planned out before you kind of get going helter skelter and then end up nowhere.
Yeah, I think finding that balance between the two, I suppose, actually, just while it's floating around my head, that Ed Dale, I remember he was talking about that, and it was to do with, he was saying as well, like generating content, because he figured out what the 1 or 2 key leverage points for him in his business were, realized that it was creating content, and then decided to put systems or a process in place to make sure that each day, one of the first things he did for the first half an hour was do some sort of content generation. I think the other one was exercise. I remember him saying.
Yeah.
and making sure that he tackled those first to get those out of the way. I think those plannings, the other thing as well, like, I know people can get caught up, and interested to get your thoughts on, people can get caught up making plans, but then never actually get through to execution as well. Like, I think there's two sides. There's people not actually making the plans and going gung-ho, but not even sure what track they're on, so they can't readjust when they find they're off course. But on the other side, you've just got your planners who that's all they do, plan, and they consume every new course that comes out, update their plans, but never get through to execution. How is it best to try and find that balance in your life?